Hello, is everybody today? I am Carla Metzdorf. I am a certified health and life coach who works with moms to overcome anxiety, and I'm also admin to the group Overcoming Anxiety for Stressed Out Moms Who've Had Enough. Today I am going live to give you a training about, what am I doing today? I already forgot. Okay, sorry. I am giving a training today all about grace, giving yourself grace to overcome anxiety. Hi ladies, welcome. I'm so happy you're all joining me. So today we're going to talk about giving yourself grace to overcome anxiety. Very important topic, and I'll explain why in a minute. But first, I want to give a definition of what grace is, what it means to give yourself grace. I love to give definitions because definitions help you to understand more about what it is I'm talking about. I want us to all be on the same page. So when I say to give yourself grace, basically what I'm talking about is to give yourself kindness and to be considerate to yourself. To give yourself a break, all right? To not be so hard on yourself. To understand that you are a human being. And as a human being, you're going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. And you're not going to be able to do everything perfectly. So the best thing you could do for yourself is just to allow yourself to have that experience, whatever it is. To let it unfold as it's going to unfold. Give yourself grace. Now, last week, I talked a lot about self-care and how to love yourself so that you give yourself the self-care that you need to overcome anxiety. But I also mentioned grace. I didn't talk about it a lot, but I wanted to get into it this week because it matters. So loving yourself and giving yourself grace, they work hand in hand, okay? You have to love yourself to give yourself grace, and you have to give yourself grace to love yourself. And when you do both collectively, you will do what it takes to overcome anxiety, meaning you will take that self-care, you will perform the actions needed and do what it takes for your well-being. If you're not into having self-care, okay, if you don't love yourself, you don't respect yourself, you don't give yourself grace, you're always hard on yourself and expect so much from yourself, you're not going to do what it takes. You're going to give up really easily, and you're going to wind up sabotaging your results. So let's get more into why do you have to give yourself grace? I kind of just said it right now, but let me talk more about that mind-body connection. When you understand how the mind works, you can understand exactly why, okay, things happen. I'm going to just look in the group for a second because I'm looking at my phone and I see people coming on, and I'm so happy to have you here, ladies. So say hi, and if you have any questions, you need any clarity, please don't be shy. Just go right in there. I'm going to just update the group. See if I can see myself because I don't right now. There I am. And I have 9 comments already, so just let me... Everyone's saying hello, hi, Connie and Tracy and Shanika and Candy. And if there was anybody before that, I don't see because it says 9, but I'm only seeing 4. So, hi. Thank you for joining me. So why? Why is it so important that you got to give yourself grace? Well, see, the thing is, all right, let's talk about the mind body for 1 second. Hey, thanks for coming on. Okay, so you're told to overcome you got to do some things, right? So you're going to learn some tools, some strategies, so that you can calm down the central nervous system, so that you can change the way that you're thinking, so that you can overcome anxiety. Now, you're going to learn a lot of tools and strategies, but if you are trying those tools and strategies, okay, they may not work right away for you, okay? You may have to keep trying, right? So now the mind gets very comfortable with who you are. It doesn't know the difference between right, wrong, good, bad. It just knows who you are, who you're being in every given moment. And the longer you are a certain way, the more patterns are formed, all right? And it becomes automatic. I hope that's making sense so far, okay? So, when you're learning something new, all right, so you're given tools, you're given strategies, time to learn something new to overcome anxiety. Now, the brain, the mind, is going to fight you. The thing is, I'm using the word fight, but what it's doing is its job, okay? The mind is always working to protect. That's what it does. The purpose of our mind is for survival, okay? It is working to help you to survive. The mind and the body work together to help you survive. So now you're learning all these new tools and strategies, right? But the mind is going, okay, but something's different. And let's see, she's using this tool. Let's say it's breathing, all right? We're told breathing is great for calming down that central nervous system. And it is, ladies, it really is. But some of you have used that tool and are not getting the benefits from it, okay? You're not seeing the progress from it. What happens when you try something to overcome anxiety and it doesn't work for you? What happens, ladies? What happens is that you start getting really negative. You start getting frustrated with yourself, maybe with the person who taught you this tool. See, this doesn't work. I knew it wasn't going to work, right? You just start getting frustrated. You start feeling defeated. You might start getting really down on yourself. Does anybody relate to this? Can you give me a 1 or say me if you can relate to what I'm saying right now? That you were told if you just do this, like breathing, it will help you to overcome anxiety. And you tried it. You tried everything. Okay, great. Thank you, Tracy. How about everybody else? Do you try tools? Are the tools working? They're not working. So now you feel defeated. You feel frustrated. Anybody else? All right. Thank you. Yeah, keep going. Good. Glad. Thank you, ladies, for that. Okay. The thing is, they do work. But see, when they don't work in our timing, when they don't work the way we think they should work, all right, we get really upset with ourselves, with the person who taught us, with the act. We just tell ourselves this doesn't work. Or I knew it wasn't possible for this to happen. See, the thing is, you have to keep trying. I don't want you to stop trying, but there's such a thing as trying so hard, being so hard on yourself, expecting so much of yourself that you're actually wind up sabotaging your efforts. That you wind up, instead of making a whole lot of progress, what you're doing instead is getting a whole lot of frustration. Still making sense? Can everybody relate to that? See, these tools do work, all right? It's just that some of the tools, it just depends on your experience. It depends upon how long you're practicing, okay? You get really good at what you practice. You're going to get results as you practice, but who are you being when you practice them? If you're getting very impatient and you're being hard on yourself, you're not allowing yourself to be that, for lack of better words, that student, okay, who is just learning how to do this, all right? And you're hard on your, well, I thought I was going to breathe and it was just going to go away. And I did breathe. I got relief for about 2 minutes and I got anxious again. What is wrong with me? That is not giving yourself kindness and compassion. Grace is needed, because when you have grace, you will give yourself that kindness and compassion, because you will not turn this into a more of a negative thing. See, the thing is, we get frustrated because of who we're being in that moment as we're learning. I'm just impatient because I'm in pain right now. This has to work right now. I don't have time for transformation and healing. Like, that's got to take place in 2 minutes. No, it doesn't work that way. Especially if you're going to be hard on yourself. This understandable, ladies? Does this make sense? Can you give me a 2 and say absolutely or yes? Just let me know that you can relate to this. So it's very important to give yourself grace to overcome anxiety. Sorry about that. My phone's going off. I always forget to silence my phone. Okay. So the brain, always working for you. It feels like it's fighting you. Because see, the thing is, these new tools that you're learning, it's new. It's not familiar. So the brain's like, what are you doing? And if you're going, this isn't working, I don't understand, it's not working the way it should, and it's, it's not doing for me what I thought it was, what you're doing is you're sending signals to the mind that something's wrong. You're keeping yourself in that fight or flight. That's why you got to give yourself grace. Because without grace, you're being hard on yourself, not giving yourself that compassion, not allowing yourself to make mistakes. You're telling the mind something is continuously wrong. So the mind is going, oh, wow, we have to keep compensating here. Let's keep sending out that SOS and try to help her. Because things are not going the way she wants it to go. But when you give yourself grace, you allow it to be. So, how are we going to fix this? What do you have to do to give yourself grace? First of all, ladies, does everybody understand what I mean by giving yourself grace and why it's important? Was I good at explaining that? I need a yes. I don't want to move on unless you need more clarity. And if you're just coming on, ladies, please watch the beginning of this, because this is really important, all right? I don't believe this is talked about enough, because you're going to think, grace? What does grace have to do with overcoming anxiety, okay? I'm telling you, all right? I've been there. I know exactly how to do this. I know how to overcome anxiety. And I'm telling you right now, thank you, ladies. Thank you. If you're not giving yourself grace to do what you gotta do, you're not loving yourself to give yourself grace and giving yourself grace to love yourself and taking the time for self-care, you're not taking those steps, you're gonna wind up sabotaging all your efforts in your attempts to overcome anxiety somehow, some way. Okay, but thank you for that. So, to give yourself grace, how do I go about doing that? Number one, awareness. You know, awareness is always my first step, right? You have to be aware that you're not giving yourself grace. But how would I know if I'm giving myself grace? Well, maybe ask yourself some really important questions. So, as you're getting frustrated with yourself, okay, ask yourself a question like, why am I getting so frustrated right now? Am I being too perfect? Am I getting frustrated because I'm putting too much pressure on myself? What do I expect of myself right now? Do I expect myself to do this right the first time? Do I expect myself to be perfect? And if all these answers are like, yep, then you know you're being hard on yourself and you're not giving yourself grace. So have that awareness. Number two, okay? Allow yourself to be imperfectly perfect. Meaning, accept the fact that you're just not gonna be perfect. Why? Well, what is perfect? Can you define that, please? Because I sure don't have a definition of perfect. I have no idea what perfect means. Because perfect is relative. You know, we're all going to have a very different definition of what perfect is. I can ask every single person in this group, what does it take to be perfect? You're all going to say something different. Maybe similar, but different. Be imperfectly perfect. Allow yourself to make mistakes, to mess up, to be a freaking human being. That's who you are. And not only that, but mistakes are actually not that bad. Okay, part of success is what they call failure, okay? No such thing as failure, but we say it's failure because we say when we make a mistake, we're not doing it right. I'm failing. I'm not having success. No. Success, part of that is making mistakes. You look at your mistakes. What can I learn from those mistakes? How can I be better? Do better. All right? That's the next step. Okay. So, very important step here. Positive self-talk. Okay? Ladies, I can't express how important it is to really watch what you say to yourself. Because, I mean, some of you are on with me religiously every single week. But if you're going to get anything out of anything that I say, please, you got to watch what you tell yourself. That mind is always listening. Doesn't know the difference between right, wrong, good, bad. Doesn't know that what you're saying is sarcasm or you're just joking, kidding around. Doesn't realize that. Just takes you right from what you're saying. You have to be careful. So as you are, let's say you're agoraphobic, or let's say you're afraid to get in the car and drive, okay? What are you telling yourself as you're about to get in the car and drive, as you're trying to leave your house? Are you supporting yourself? Are you empowering yourself? Ladies, only you are going to talk yourself into anxiety or you're going to talk yourself out of anxiety. No one else can do it for you. I mean, I can work with you and you can watch all my videos, but I still can't do the work for you. I can only show you the way. Talking to yourself, the words you use on yourself are so important. Give yourself grace. Be your own support system. Be kind, considerate, compassionate to yourself. And I just went blank screen because I got to move my screen every once in a while or I'm going to lose you. All right. I just updated. So, ladies, as I talk, if you have any questions, please put them in there. I want to know. You do a great job of showing the way. Oh, thank you, Tracy, for saying that. Thank you. I hope so. Because I formed this group because I was there, ladies. Anxiety took over my life. I wasn't functioning. And when I became a coach, I said there had to be other moms going through what I went through. I never imagined, okay? I mean, this group has over 4,000. But I don't admit everybody into this group, okay? So many women have asked to come into this group. I mean, to think so many moms suffer from anxiety. And I know the way out. I'm trying my best to really help you. So if I'm not clear, okay, and you need clarity, you have questions, you got to come to me. All right? Because no news is good news. You know, if I don't hear from you, I'm thinking you're getting it. I'm thinking that you're applying it. I'm thinking, you know, that you're doing what you got to do. So please, don't be shy. What's the best way to start mornings with high anxiety? Tasha, first of all, I mean, I have a lot to say about that. I want to finish talking about grace, giving yourself grace. But the best way to start, really, you want to know, is to love yourself, to make a change, and to give yourself grace, to love yourself, to make a change. You know, like, get to a spot where you're going to practice self-care, that you are going to take care of yourself so that you can be different and respond differently to life. Be different with whatever life sends your way. Okay, that is what I'm going to say about that today. I've actually talked about that a lot in a lot of my live trainings. Best way to start mornings with high anxiety, it really is acceptance. And that, you know, that goes under acceptance. You know, grace, part of grace is having acceptance of who you're being, of what you're going through, living in the reality of it, not being so hard on yourself, letting it unfold the way it's going to unfold, and trusting yourself. And I know that's hard because anxiety is not trusting yourself, right? Anxiety is a lack of trust. It's uncertainty. But when you can learn to trust, I mean, you're going to be golden. So the other things I wanted to talk about, okay, I'm still talking about how to have grace, okay? Boundaries. Let's talk about boundaries for a second. Boundaries are those little rules that you make, okay, in your relationships or whatnot for other people to understand how you want to be treated. You set boundaries to tell others, this is what I want. This is how I want to be treated. But you also need to set boundaries for yourself. Now, what I mean by that is sometimes we don't take the best care of ourselves, which is why self-care is important, okay? Why loving yourself is important and giving yourself grace is important. But we have to catch ourselves not taking the best care of ourselves. We got to set that boundary, okay? So, in other words, let's say you're a mom who works. You come home from work, and now you're expected to make dinner, take care of the family, run the kids around. Who's got soccer practice or ballet or scouts or, even if you have older children, okay? Maybe you're a grandma, okay? And maybe you still work and you came home from work and now you got to watch the grandchild but maybe you had a tough day, okay? And setting a boundary is basically saying, letting yourself go to your loved one, going to the people that are in your life and saying, listen, I'm getting overwhelmed. I'm getting frustrated. I need to take care of me. I don't mind doing this every once in a while. But every once in a while, okay, I need help. So part of self-care, part of giving yourself grace, is being able to seek support and help from others. So maybe setting a boundary with yourself is when I get frustrated and overwhelmed, I am going to speak out. I'm going to get support. I'm going to talk to myself in a more empowering way. I'm going to do what I got to do to take better care of me. And remember, ladies, it's not selfish. Don't let anyone tell you you're being selfish because you're spending time taking care of yourself. Now, I don't want to get back into all that because my whole live last week was about that. But if you feel like you're being selfish, ask yourself, well, why? Why do I want to take better care of myself? And if your answer is, well, I want to take better care of myself so that I could be a better mom, so I could be a better wife and a better daughter and a better friend, so I could be the best version of myself, so that I can receive God's blessings and do His will. I don't think what you're doing is selfish. Because you're not doing it just for yourself. You're doing it to be a better version of yourself so you can do and be who you were meant to be. Does that mean even accepting that you need medication for your anxiety? Listen, there's nothing wrong with taking medication, ladies. I mean, I understand. All right, medication. See, the thing is, medication is temporary. It's not something that's going to get you over anxiety. Medication has its use in the fact that if you are suffering, really, anxiety has taken over your life, okay? You're not functioning in life, okay? Anxiety has taken over so much that you can't be who you need to be. There's nothing wrong with taking some medication to get you to function. See, now what some doctors don't tell you are the facts of that medication. That medication's not meant to be forever. Medications change when your body changes, like your body, especially a woman's body, where, we get our periods, so we're not always stable, in monthly we're getting our periods, or we are pregnant, or we're past the pregnancy, or we're perimenopause, we're menopause, but our hormones are all over, we're always changing, right? So medications, as your body changes, the medications, the chemistry may not be exact. And so that's why you might, okay, well, this medication was working wonderfully. Now it's not working anymore. Not only that, sometimes your body gets so used to the medication, it just isn't as effective anymore. Doctors don't seem to tell you that. And a lot of those medications actually say on the label that they're not meant to be used more than a certain period of time. Like a lot of the sleep medications, I mean, I had trouble with sleep and I did take some sleep medication. But the thing that they don't tell you is that the companies themselves, see, a lot of us don't read, okay, that pamphlet inside. I had very bad health anxiety. You better believe I read that pamphlet because I wanted to make sure this wasn't going to kill me somehow, some way. But all medications have their side effects, right? And we don't like side effects. We already feel miserable. We don't need the side effects, which is why we don't even want to be on medication. But, okay, if you need to be on it, okay, please be on it. Take it, because it's better than not functioning at all. But be aware of that medication. How long? Like the doctor, like I was told once I had to be on a medication for the rest of my life because what I was experiencing, I couldn't overcome it. Well, anxiety, number one, I was told I'd never come anxiety and I would be on medication the rest of my life. Guess what? I overcame anxiety and I'm not on any medication. That's number one. Number two, I had GERD. Doctor told me, take GERD medicine. When I said for how long, he said the rest of your life. And I said, what? Like there's nothing else I can do? He goes, just take the GERD. Take the medication. You'll be on it the rest of your life. That wasn't acceptable to me. I read the pamphlet inside. You know what it said? Do not take this medication more than 8 weeks. I did my own research, got my own awareness. And you know what? No medication for GERD should be more than about 8 weeks. Not good for your stomach. And the medication becomes less effective. What's the best way to overcome GERD? Manage your stress. Deal with your stress in your life. That is how I overcame anxiety. That's how I overcame GERD. So to answer your question, I gave you just a long-winded one. Does that mean even accepting that you need medication? Do you need the medication to overcome anxiety? No. But do you need the medication right now in your present time because you're not functioning well? Maybe. Take it. Don't beat yourself up about it. Give yourself grace. But learn how to overcome anxiety. Learn the tools and the strategies so that you gain the confidence to come off the medication for the long run. Does that all make sense, ladies? Does anybody have anything to say about what I just said? Anybody disagree? I mean, I'm okay if you disagree. I mean, I know what I'm saying. I mean, it's very factual. I mean, what I say is not just my opinion, okay? I do research, and, you know, I've lived this. This is my experience as well. Yeah, and some can mess up your liver in the long run. You know, you see those commercials, right? The commercials on TV. You know, we have a medication that's going to help you overcome this, right? But you're going to get this and this and this and this and this and this in the meantime, right? So is it worth taking the medication to prevent your psoriasis if it's also going to give you kidney disease and liver disease and heart disease and a heart attack and a stroke and or whatever. You know, like that is something that you have to think about. So that is why when you work with me, I want to get to the root cause of why you have anxiety. And when I talk about having love for yourself and giving yourself grace, that's part of it. Because I want to understand what it is that you're believing, what it is that you're not doing. How are you sabotaging your efforts? Because nobody should live with their anxiety. Anxiety is something that can be overcome. And if you still have anxiety after, oh gosh, no one should have anxiety. Let's put it this way. You don't have to wait until anxiety takes over your life to understand how to overcome anxiety. The moment you start feeling anxiety and you're thinking, okay, I don't like this. I actually read about a woman, okay? She was very stressed out and overwhelmed. She didn't deal with a lot of anxiety, but she came from a family of a lot of women that had so many anxiety problems. And she learned from that. And she said, you know what? Before anxiety takes over my life, I'm going to learn all about it so that I can kind of this is my terminology, nip it in the bud, okay? So that it doesn't happen to me. And that's what she did. She didn't wait until anxiety took over her life and she waited for rock bottom. She just knew that life has been so overwhelmed and so stressful for her that she needed to take control while she still felt in control. Does that make sense, ladies? So, love yourself, to give yourself grace, and give grace to yourself to love yourself, so that you will practice self-care, meaning you'll take those actions to overcome anxiety. You'll take those actions to take better care of your well-being, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It's so important. All right, ladies, that's what I got for you. Are there any questions? I mean, it's been fluctuating. We had so many people on, so many people went off, more people came on. So I'm assuming I have a whole different audience. I don't know who's been on with me since the beginning. So if you just came on, watch the replay, okay? Please watch the replay because this was all very important information. This information is really going to help you to have what it takes and to take those actions to overcome anxiety. Let me just see. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I'm glad you found this informational. But there's no questions. Everybody's good. Nobody has any questions. Either you're shy or I am doing a good job in explaining it because nobody ever really has questions. The questions I got really had nothing to do. Health anxiety is the worst. Yes, it is. And I have a whole... If you were listening, I don't know where you came on, Leanne, but I mentioned my health anxiety before. I have a whole live training about it. This is not about health anxiety, but I do have a live training, a couple live trainings actually about it. If you don't see it in the guide section of the group, please refer to my YouTube channel where you will find it there. And if you want the link, go to the features section of the group. In features, you will find the link to my YouTube channel where you will have all the live trainings that I have been uploading there, because Facebook only keeps my replays for 30 days. Then I have to upload them to YouTube. So you still have them 24/7, all right? So without further ado, if there's no questions about grace, I am going to go, and I'll see you next week, ladies. I wish you a very, very great week. I wish you many blessings, and that you will give yourself. Do you have any trainings on OCD? I do not specifically on OCD, but I want to tell you, and I'm afraid to say your name because I don't want to say it wrong, but is it Zabdi? Zabdi? Am I saying it right? I might be saying it wrong, but what I had extremely bad OCD, okay? If you follow what I'm teaching in this group works for OCD. I have a live training about worry, and you can find that either in the guide section or on YouTube. And if you don't find any, oh great, Zabdi, I said it right. I'm so happy. Okay. If you don't find any of the live trainings that I'm saying, get in touch with me, message me, and I'll get it to you. I think there's some live trainings that I still have not uploaded that I did years ago. But I did one solely about worry. So, Christine, look for that. If you can't find it, please get in touch with me and I'll try to get it to you. And with that said, everything else I talk about, I have live training specifically about self-care. I have a couple of those. I just did it last week and many weeks and even years before that, about loving yourself. I actually did one already about giving yourself grace. I think I did it last year, but I update myself, ladies. Repetition's key. I don't just do something and never talk about it again. And everything else that we talked about, I usually have a live training for. And listen, if there's something you're experiencing and you want me to do a live about it, message me and say, hey, Carla, this is what I'm experiencing. Did you do a live training about it? Because if not, can you? All right? And most of the time, I do. I mean, I do a live training about it, or I'll tell you, I have talked about it, and this is where you can find it. All right, ladies, I gotta go. Be well. Take care. Blessings. See you next time. Bye, ladies.